question. What I'm very puzzled by is, and I'm wondering if it is the new politics, as you're saying, where is critical thinking, and how much does the media have to play into that? If we hear that there are outright lies told by Trump, but his feet aren't held to the fire, what is the responsibility on the part of the media? And then, the other piece, and I think it gets to what you said about a liberal arts education, my concern is that I don't understand how people can follow somebody who has, it has been demonstrated that he's lying,
No, clearly, Mr. Trump tells untruths. There's no question about it. This isn't a partisan point that he has said X, and it turns out that just wasn't the case. You're right, he tells us. Here's the problem. His followers aren't listening, and the media, once the media actually calls him on something, he won't have anything to do with them. So the media then goes, okay, either we don't cover him, or we cover him from afar, and therefore allow him to only say what he wants with nobody talking before or after to provide some analysis. And that may be a calculation that they've made that has been to the detriment of democracy. But that they have, good heavens, the Washington Post every day. There's another set of things they talk about if people would read it, but people are not critical thinking. Elections are... Walter Lippmann, who you probably don't remember, was the premier political thinker of the sort of consensus Americans from the 30s and 40s and 50s, and actually helped Wilson write the 14 points back in the day. And he wrote a book around the turn of the 20th century where he said, look, politics is not rational, it's emotional. And that's where Trump works so well on the emotions. Again, this idea of white identity politics that he's drawing in, a kind of sense of it is us versus them, whoever them are. And the enemy changes. And you can comment, you can write stories about that, but you're just lumped together. You're the liberal media establishment, etc. As a college professor, left wing, what have you.
So they gave him $2 billion worth of free media.
Yes, they did, but you see, that's the thing. The emperor has no clothes. Okay, you would think that after the public saw $2 billion worth of free media, they would have said, oh my gosh, I can't vote for this guy. Look, I know this is shocking to you, but I heard Bob Lonsberry once say, oh my gosh, I can't follow Donald Trump. Because he'd said one thing too many that was outrageous. That it turned out that maybe Donald Trump really wasn't just putting on a show, that maybe that really was Donald Trump. Right? Because people kept saying, well, he's just putting on an act. But I think that's what the media was hoping. The more you sign, the less you'd like him. That was a mistake. Yes, I agree. But the idea being that the public should be savvy enough to know when they're being swindled. Right? And again, I'm saying from the Republican Party point of view in particular, but Mr. Trump does say things that are wrong. Right?
I'd like to, it's clear that this group is not representative of the American electorate overall.
Yes, first of all, you're here late talking about politics.
Every morning I get up and I'm talking to my wife and she says, I'm worried. Now, and I am too, but I would like to ask you to go back to the map of the swing states and let's talk about this path that Hillary has versus Trump. And I think Hillary's is a much more tractable path. And I do think that that's the path that we will follow. But let's just go through that. You mentioned Ohio, but you've got...
All right, historical trends.
Right.
So, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Carolina is definitely now in play in a way, because I think a lot of
Virginia?
people, Virginia, absolutely. Even though Virginia should probably go Democrat, they voted Terry McAuliffe, it's been trending Democrat, that should go as well. Pennsylvania tends to overvote Democrat, that is, they tend to favor Democrats, but you have to look for the Democrats who are definitely going to be voting Republican down in places like Washington County and places like that. Rural places that Obama himself said where people cling to their guns and their Bible. These are people that are going to vote for Donald Trump. So if Democrats sit out the election, if you don't get a drive of African Americans, Obama got like 93%. If she gets less than that, if Hispanics do not come out to vote in the urban areas, then the rural areas could, in fact, in a place like Pennsylvania, bring those 20 points over. Ohio, like I said, could go over. Florida is surprisingly close. A lot of people from New York live in Florida, and they certainly they didn't vote for Marco Rubio. They voted for Barack Obama in the primary, and there's some people that will. So, and then we go out into the upper Midwest. You're right. I think the path is always set, but there's this weird thing the public does. We have not, since George H.W. Bush, given the incumbent party, shall we say, a third term. Yeah. I mean, there has a tendency in modern politics that 2 terms and then we switch it to the next political party. It's just been a trend that maybe stopped because of the negatives of Donald Trump.
And you said because the incumbent was favored.
Yes.
And so that was good for the party.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And Ronald Reagan was very popular. And again, if you look at Barack Obama's popularity, it's tremendous. Now, you got to remember, when George W. Bush left office, I don't even think his mother was talking to him. Okay, he was not popular. He had like an approval rating of 27, 28%. It was really low. And so, of course, we expect the Democrats to do well. I'm sorry.
I have 2 questions. First of all, could you give us an overview of the pros and cons of the TPP? We hear one side from people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, one side of the coin, and of course Barack Obama is strongly in favor. I respect all of those people,
right.
I'd like to get more of a feel of, on balance, are we better off with it or without it? I've read that China is hoping that we don't pass it because that would favor China over us.
Right.
And I have a second question, and that is in the Brexit vote, there seems to be a rejection of expert opinion. And I'm seeing the same thing here when so many Trump supporters don't seem to be moved by all these Republican experts that you mentioned who came out against him, and some of them explicitly in favor of Hillary Clinton, people like Brent Scowcroft, for example, and you can go on and on. But that doesn't seem to matter. So, and they just believe what Trump is telling them, even though Trump isn't even telling them how he's going to do the things that he wants to do or claims to want to do. So there seems to also be that rejection of expert opinion, and do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, no, okay, so I will pass on the Trans-Pacific trade only because I would bore you to death by doing what I do in my classroom, which is to talk about, well, all policy has its ups and downs. And then you're going to see what happens is that, yes, this will help this sector of the economy. So I will say that, yes, no matter, I mean, there are negatives associated with any trade, and in the long term and the short term. But you're asking more about the rejection of experts. I agree. I think absolutely. There is definitely always been an American strain that hates experts. We don't want people telling us what to do. I would say that, the national security advisors and others who signed foreign policy, I guess 50 experts said repudiating Trump and said he'd be the worst thing for us. I think that the people that like Donald Trump say exactly, you guys delivered us here, what do you know? Right? If you're so smart, then why is America so weak? If you're so, right, you get it? I mean, that's the point, there's gonna be a rebuttal. It's not gonna be a sophisticated rebuttal, but it'll be a rebuttal that will completely, in their minds, just completely devastate anyone who's got any expertise on it. Because expertise obviously failed, but Donald Trump knows how to get things done. There you go. So we probably, I don't know what time it is.
One more?
Yeah, let's do one more, exactly.
I'm concerned about the structure and the content of the debates coming up. They picked 3 men, first of all, to be the moderators, and also, well, they could have a competent female moderator in there too. And I'm wondering if...
Martha Raddatz.
Pardon?
Martha Raddatz.
Martha Raddatz.
As a co-host? No, I'll change them because...
She's gonna do that.
All right, so with Trump there, I wonder about controlling the debate so it doesn't result in just more insults and negatives and without getting down to the specifics. So I just want your comment on how debates like that.
Right, so this is a great question about the debates. We don't know which Donald Trump's going to show up. The one that could show up could be the one that, exactly, that individual who just says the most outrageous things, that will, roll his eyes and be very theatrical, or the one that we've seen recently who stays on message, stays on script, and has actually got some of those disaffected Republicans to go, well, I guess he's not that bad. So, again, that's the other thing you have to be careful about, because in the end of the day, they're Republicans because they don't like Democrats. So, just saying, because that's, that they won't vote, or some of them may vote for Hillary, but that's less likely. So yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think the question is, what are the moderators going to do? That's the big question. I'm not a big fan of moderators jumping in and telling, pushing people around and giving them correctives. But in Donald Trump's case, that may be exactly what we need so that we actually get a debate and not a schoolyard brawl between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Just to hold them to the facts and to maybe make comments or even, talk about, well, you just said this, in the past you've said that, which one is it? You said you're going to do this, could you help us understand how you're going to pay for this, right? This, I think, these are fair questions. If he melts down, right, which could happen, I think that could easily swing the election. Debates don't usually move the dial that much, but so much is riding on this particular debate that, again, the people that are, look, most of the undecided voters are undecided about Hillary or undecided about Donald. They're not undecided about who they're going to vote for. They just move in and out of trying to figure this out. But this can help people decide one way or another who they're going to actually vote for. So please get your friends to watch the debate. It's being live streamed everywhere. It's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on TV. I know, some people actually watch TV. Thank you very much. All right, I should let you know.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters and the National Council of Jewish Women, thank you so much, Dr. Timothy Nealon, once again. I'm sure we're all ready to cast more informed ballots on November 8th now. And in the unlikely event that you're not registered to vote, we have a registration table out as you leave. We thank you for attending and would like you to know that the League's next forum will be held October 26th at the First Unitarian Church on South Winton. Please bring your questions for our 2 Board of Elections Commissioners, Tom Parise and David Van Varick. They'll be available, they'll do a presentation and then take questions. And also the League will be co-sponsoring with WROC Channel 8 televised debate between Congresswoman Louise Slaughter and her challenger Mark Cassini on October 18th, 7 p.m. Thank you for attending and drive carefully.